Okay, well, maybe I can piece those two together somehow. Andrew does really well, continuing on from my previous one if I can't piece them together. I'm working on first grade lesson planning for Abeka, and my guy does really well at sounding the words out, so I'm letting him just read through the books, and he's doing well. He will pay attention for the most part. I finally had to tell him you have to read so many sentences or pages a day. And the readers, he has to finish a story. When he's reading Harold and the Purple Crayon, he has to read 4 sentences, which most of the time equals out to 4 pages. Otherwise, he'll just read 1 sentence a day and be done, which is not enough for the practice. But it will go through and it will tell you, say these words out loud and have them tell you the vowel sounds. Or, which he can pick those out. He can pick those out himself. He reads to his little sisters whenever he can get a chance, especially Hannah. She's our 1-year-old. And it'll tell you practice the TH, which is common in these words. And point to them on a chalkboard. It is written to use in a school setting because that's what they started out as, was a private school setting. But it's very adaptable and very easy to use for homeschool. So there's not much to do for lesson 16 here. There will be a workbook page, which it does not have it listed in the plans, but there will be a workbook page. Please don't yell! And so because there's not much there, we're going to go ahead and keep doing 2 lessons. And we'll do lesson 16 through 17, which the pages correspond with the lesson numbers. So page 16 through 17, and yet again, it's got words to go through for them to write. He's going to start learning possessive pronouns, which he's figuring out on his own because he asks questions and we answer them, and that's how my guy learns. It might be different with the girls. I might have to change how I do it with the girls, but for my guy, this is enough. So that's that. That's the phonics for Andrew. And for the math, this is the lesson planning for the arithmetic for the math. It is the older version teacher book, but it works. And he is on lesson 16. He's on lesson 16 here. And let's see what we got going. Speed drills. He's doing really well at the speed drills. He just started those this week, but he's doing 8 lessons for 8 problems, simple math problems, 5 and under, in 40 seconds, which I presume that's really well. I think it's well. I'm not trying to tell him he has to get it done in under a minute. I want him to do his best to try and do better every time he does it. That's how I'm doing it. So it's got, say this is what you're supposed to put on the chalkboard, which is more or less of each number, which he's doing really well with that. He's been working on that since the lesson 1 this year. And he does it on his own too, because he plays with cars all the time, and they come up with some interesting games. So it's got pages 27 and 28 for lesson 16. It's got speed drill. And we'll probably slow the speed drills down a little bit, so he's only getting 1 a day. Because there's 4 to a sheet. And then story problems. He's doing really well with story problems. We're reading them out loud whenever they come up. And it'll plan everything out for you. You really don't, unless you like to do it better, you really don't have to write it out like I do, but this is how I prefer it. It also says to practice ordinal numbers. We just started those this week, ordinal versus cardinal. And he gets that confused look on his face, but it'll click for him. And it says practice these flashcards, which I know he knows those problems, so I'm not going to do that. Play spell word. We're not gonna... And that's oral math, which drives him batty. Which we can do with flashcards, really. Okay, and then lesson 17. We're supposed to have test 2. Which is in the same book as the speed drills. And there's also in the speed test and speed drill book, it has how to grade them. And then we have page 29 and 30 on here. I'll have to check out that test because it says I need flashcards ready. So I'll need to figure out what's going on with that. I'm going to show you a flashcard, put the sum in the box marked A. So they have to look at it and write the sum down. And it's got the flashcards all planned out, so that'll be really easy to do. And on the top of the test, it has written and it has oral. And then he's also supposed to do page 30 in his math. And this is the 7 Days Are in a Week song. Written by Mrs. Howe. Oh yeah, I've heard of Mrs. Howe on the Abeka pages. I'm sorry, that was a bunny trail. Written by Mrs. Howe, but this is, it's a really cute song, and the K5 has songs. We did find the song on the Abeka website last year for free. I don't know if it's still there or not since they updated. I have not looked for it because we already have them. But that's what we do. And in the writing he's still in his K5 cursive writing. He does 1 page a day because otherwise it's a fight, and that's not something I'm going to fight about. 1 page a day. The reading, he's going to do 1 page a day, and the history will do 1 to 2 pages depending on how his attention span's doing by that time. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's a little less, sometimes he sees a picture, oh, I want to read about that, so we keep going. But I always, when we do a lot a day, I always make sure we go back and review and make sure he understood what was going on, because it doesn't do any good to do a little more if they're not picking it up. So that is how I do my lesson planning for 1st grade. And maybe I'll just split these up and do K5 on one and 1st grade on the other, but it's the same concept. It's just a matter of going through the books and writing down, finding a method that works good for you and works good for your kids, and that's what we do. For Gracie, she's our 3-year-old. She's still in preschool, but she really, really, really wants to learn her letters and her numbers and everything else. So I'm still trying to make things fun, and I found freebies.
I'm doing it.
Yeah. I found freebies through Pinterest, and I think it was Free Homeschool Deals at Jameryl's site. She's everywhere. She's on Facebook. She's on YouTube. She's a homeschool mama. But she collects freebies and publishes them almost every day, I think. But, you know, I've got it planned out just like I do all the other ones. And all I have to do is grab her worksheets for that day, and some days she makes it through 1 and she's done. She wants to get up and go play. Some days, like today, she did probably 3 days worth, which was fine because at the beginning of the week she didn't want to do more than 1 worksheet. She didn't have the patience to sit down, but she was able to play quietly so Andrew and Ava could finish theirs, which was even a more important thing. She's learning how to use scissors, and she finished A and B. Alligators and butterflies and bumblebees.
Oh no!
Oh no! Alligators and butterflies and bumblebees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I do for 1st grade and for kindergarten, for preschool, and our kindergarten is in our other video. I don't know if I can figure out how to piece it together, but that's what I do. You have a good day, y'all.